Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. We've got some leftist corruption to cover today. It's the battle of the trial dates. That seems to be all the rage, all the talk right now. Democrats are doing what Democrats do best, weaponizing federal institutions to do their bidding, and the goal is, well, there's two goals really. First is try to get Donald Trump off the ballot in key states. That's a thing, and that's currently happening. And the second option, of course, is attempt to imprison Donald Trump, or at least find him guilty ahead of key election days. Well, so far, not exactly going to plan for Democrats. The reporting is that Jack Smith and some of his prosecutors are supposedly, quote, furious, as Judge Aileen Cannon doesn't seem so receptive to Jack Smith's strategy of trying to rush this one through. They're trying to freaking speed clear all these trials, but it seems like in the end, it just might not work. I got a couple updates to show you guys. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so take a look at the first headline here from the Gateway Pundit. Special counsel Jack Smith fumes after Judge Aileen Cannon blasts DOJ prosecutors and signals that she may postpone classified documents trial. Special counsel Jack Smith attacked Trump after the former president's attorney filed a motion for a stay in the January 6th case in D.C. President Trump respectfully requests that the court stay all proceedings in this case pending resolution of his immunity motion. Trump's lawyers wrote in the motion filed Wednesday evening. Trump's lawyers filed the motion just hours after Judge Aileen Cannon signaled that she would postpone the classified documents case in Southern Florida. Judge Aileen Cannon last month paused litigation in Jack Smith's classified documents case as she decides whether to grant Trump's motion to extend deadlines relating to classified documents or classified materials. So basically, Trump's lawyers are doing what they should do. They're coming out swinging, accusing Jack Smith of withholding discovery and seeking to delay classified documents trial until after the election. Last month, Trump attorneys Chris Kise and Todd Blanche accused Jack Smith's prosecutors of using dilatory tactics to slow roll the discovery process, taking too long to turn over evidence. Blanche and Kise said that the May trial date makes the schedule, quote, unworkable, according to the motion reviewed by the Gateway Pundit. Blanche and Kise also said that Jack Smith's Florida classified documents trial, set for May 20th, and a separate March 4th D.C. trial regarding Trump's so-called effort to stop the transfer of power set for March 4th, require Trump and his lawyers to be in two places at once. Cannon not only signaled that she may postpone Trump's trial, she also admonished one of Jack Smith's prosecutors in the court on Wednesday. According to Julie Kelly, who was at the hearing on Wednesday, Judge Cannon asked Jack Smith's prosecutors for an example of the DOJ bringing two criminal cases on the same defendant in a compressed schedule while demanding trial dates set 2.5 months apart. The DOJ prosecutor had no answer. Jack Smith attacked Trump and alerted Judge Cannon to Trump's motion for a stay in the D.C. case. The special counsel is furious that Trump is trying to delay both trials and using the trial date of the D.C. case to delay the classified documents case in Florida. Jack Smith's plan to try and convict Trump in the middle of a presidential election is crumbling because it isn't holding up in front of a somewhat fair judge, Aileen Cannon. And I think it makes perfect sense, right? They can't even come up with a similar example of this kind of, I guess we could call it prosecutorial behavior. You know, no one's above the law, right? That's what the Democrats say. Everyone should be treated fairly and equally within the judicial system. Well, if you can't bring up a single frickin' example of a multi-pronged indictment effort against a single defendant from multiple different states, all on a rush basis, attempting to expedite the process and rush to the trial date, well then obviously it's a one-off. Obviously it's a double standard now, isn't it? They're trying to treat Donald Trump differently from how they treat everybody else. They're trying to railroad him legally from all angles here, and the intent is obvious based on the trial dates. The trial dates are set in the middle of an election. I mean, talk about election interference. You know, it's pretty simple logic here, obviously. They want to charge Trump and stop him from running for president. They're trying so badly to slap the label of guilty on President Trump because they know the effect that that's going to have in the election. We've seen the data. Trump's leading across the board when it comes to head-to-head hypothetical presidential matchup data. The only time where Trump's lead comes into question is when you add the caveat, if Donald Trump was convicted on all charges, would you then vote for him? And then all of a sudden, his support drops precipitously. And so they need to get this done ASAP. You know, generally complex cases cases like this take a really long time to go to trial. And that's simply because people have rights. You have a right to discovery, you have a right to assess all documents, you have a right to defend yourself before the case goes to trial. In the January 6th case and in the classified documents case, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pages of documents to go through. We're talking about government and presidential records that Trump's defense team needs to analyze in detail. In a case like this, usually it'd take a while to get to trial. But again, the double standard of justice here, the standard for Donald Trump, is a little bit different. They're telling him he has significantly less than a year to prepare, and not only prepare once, but prepare 3 times for 3 different federal cases, or rather 2 federal cases, and we could call it federal adjacent case in Georgia, and obviously that makes no sense. Obviously, it's unfair, unprecedented treatment of a defendant. You know, all those social justice activist type lefties going on and on and on about the corrupt justice system being weaponized against minority defendants. Well, I'd expect at least a little bit of intellectual integrity here and honesty on this particular issue because, well, that's exactly what's happening to Donald Trump. But obviously, every single one of those hypocrites is going to remain silent because all that matters is somehow creating a scenario where Joe Biden, against all odds, gets rolled in his wheelchair right back into the White House to stop the evil orange man at all cost. This whole thing is absolutely ridiculous, and speaking of absolutely ridiculous, here's another headline showing you just how far Jack Smith is willing to go, and surprisingly another big L for Jack Smith, as even Washington, D.C. Judge Tanya Chutkan hands Biden DOJ dog Jack Smith another massive loss. Judge shoots down DOJ's request to have Trump jailed. For the time being, at least, we can cross off one Democrat fantasy from the list. Newsweek reports that U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan will not jail former President Donald Trump in the event that he disobeys the court's strict gag order in the case pertaining to the Capitol intrusion of January 6, 2021, despite pressure from the Department of Justice. So it all feeds into the same concept. They are trying to stop him from effectively running his campaign because the threat that it poses on their little Washington nucleus of power. Not only are they setting trial dates during Super Tuesday and during important Trump rallies, but they're also imposing gag orders, stopping a presidential candidate from being able to speak and defend himself in the midst of a presidential election, and they're attempting to enforce these gag orders with threats of imprisonment if not obeyed. These are not the good guys, folks. This is a horrendous abuse of power. This is a horrendous desecration of democracy. They are infringing on Donald Trump's First Amendment rights, and they are infringing on his ability to campaign as a presidential nominee. We'll have to see if they could pull it off. As it seems right now, it seems like Judge Cannon isn't having any of it. Now, I guess we'll have to see what happens in D.C., whether they move his trial date, and we'll have to see what happens with the Supreme Court as well. If all goes according to the plan of the Trump team, these trial dates are going to have no choice but to be pushed back and pushed back. Either Trump's going to secure presidential immunity based on a Supreme Court ruling during the time, or the cases will get pushed back so far till after the election. Trump might then win the presidential election and essentially pardon himself and end this whole frickin' charade. Anyways, that's pretty much the update on the court cases that I got for you so far. Nothing crazy, nothing groundbreaking, but it is decently good news nonetheless. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.